Hey everybody, this is Nathan with the Geekosphere. Just wanted to put a little bit of a disclaimer on our first episode, which we are super excited it's coming out. Luke, PJ, and I had a great time recording, but one thing that does happen from time to time is you have technical malfunctions, a little bit of issue. And so today, what you're going to hear is about half an episode. And it's going to cut off kind of abruptly, but at least what it does is allows us to introduce ourselves. We got into a really good conversation following, but as, like I said, sometimes the case, I fiddled with some things and didn't come out so hot. So we will return to those discussions at future episodes. But again, thank you guys for listening to us. Sorry about the quality of this particular portion. I'm actually recording this in my car sitting outside the office. So, once again, hey, we really appreciate you guys giving us a shot, listening, and we look forward to more episodes in the future. All right, take care.
Nice to be in orbit.
Liftoff and the clock has started.
Nice to be in orbit.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Geekosphere. My name is Nathan and I am here with my friends PJ and Luke. Luke, how are you?
I am fantastic
PJ,
today.
how are you doing?
Doing wonderfully.
Awesome. So hey, this is essentially our very first time sitting around the podcasting table, as you
Numero
will.
uno.
And I did a little bit of an intro last week, kind of explaining to everybody what's kind of going on. But and now that we are sitting here as the three hosts of the Geekosphere being that area in your life where you are consumed by some kind of pop culture geek, some kind of focus, something you love.
It surrounds us. It penetrates
surrounds
us.
Kind of like the Force. This is our Force.
Excellent.
And as we, kind of head on down the road with this little venture, who knows where we're going to end up. But we each of us have our very specific areas that we love. And I would, dare to say some of us are experts and some over others and might bring some things to the table.
He dared, PJ.
I dared.
He dared.
He dared.
Ooh, I dare. I dare.
That's a bevy of dares.
It is a bevy of dares. I'm getting made fun of for my use of the Queen's English here. Anyway, so we're going to start. Why don't we do this? We'll just go around the table, kind of introduce ourselves, but I'm going to start with PJ.
Sure.
Now, PJ, I want you to give us a little background on yourself, and then, you and I have a very interesting story because here we are sitting at a table after having gone to high school together, but didn't really know each other.
Yeah, we found that out, it was not quite a year ago. We found out we were talking about how we all knew each other, and we had all gone to the same high school, and us and some other folks, and it was just very random to be like, okay, we have 4 grades that all were at the school kind of at
Pretty
near the same time.
consecutively,
Yeah, 4 right in a row, and it was really interesting. But yeah, we never knew each other, and in fact, I didn't know that you knew who I was until you texted me earlier today and asked me a very random question.
I did ask you a very random question, which we will not get into on this particular show.
quite
But
yet.
let's just say that it was a high school memory that has lingered in my brain for a while, and I often, ever since meeting you, have gone, I wonder if that's PJ.
Yep, apparently it was.
It was, and I finally got the guts to ask you about it. So, PJ, tell me, a little bit about yourself in terms of, jumping on board with this podcast, and you have some very specific interests. You do have some general geek interests, but you have some that I thought would be really great to have you involved in this, very specifically because of some of your passions and hobbies.
Sure. So I'm mostly right now I'm just really into video games. I got out of it for a while and then got back into it probably a few years back. Got back into the PlayStation, started playing a bunch. Was just a PlayStation guy for quite a while, and then one E3 I was watching Xbox's conference, getting ready to kind of dog on them, and then because they were, it was after they launched the Xbox One, things weren't going super great for them. They still aren't going super great, but we'll get into that, I'm sure. and saw that they were introducing backward compatibility and got really interested in that. So I jumped on the Xbox bandwagon and but didn't get rid of my PS4 because it's wonderful.
It's still got good,
Great exclusives.
exclusive
great
games are good. Yeah.
And I'd already bought a lot of games in the systems, in the ecosystem, so I'm kind of tied in there. And then actually recently just got a Switch.
So did we. We just got a Switch.
So I'm
So you
I'm
switched
for
to the
all.
Switch.
Well, I'm platform agnostic, if you will.
I've not
I like
heard that
that.
term before.
I kind of I revolve mostly around the Xbox now lately, but I've been playing Breath of the Wild pretty heavily recently,
Which I still have not played.
which
yet.
is wonderful, and you really need to check it out. But yeah, I like being on the side of just like, hey, anyone who wants to play, like, you should play, and so that's been the most interesting thing lately, is just trying to get into games that I haven't gotten experience before. So that's been a
Cool.
lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, just in our conversations, you've actually loaned me some, pointed me in the direction, because I love playing video games. I find now I don't have as much time. My son has become the video game player
Right.
to the point of probably being an issue.
Same.
So, we bought a Switch this summer, but the best thing I've enjoyed, we can talk about this later, is been the retro stuff, the classic
yeah.
stuff that Switch is now doing. Because I had the NES Classic, but now that they've dropped the Super NES stuff, I'm going back and playing a bunch of those. So, and we'll get, like I said, we'll get down the road, we'll talk some more. But we have our conversations about Marvel, and
Oh, yeah, definitely.
and this is something you need to understand about as well. The three of us sitting around this table is we're kind of like the typical dad suburban guys who are really into this stuff. So we're we got family obligations, job obligations, and so what we find is we don't need to we don't get to necessarily take deep dives in our hobbies and the things
No,
we
not
love, but we
usually.
do the best we can.
Do the best we
We
can.
do the best we can.
Some of us have more kids than others.
Some of us have more kids than others.
Fair.
Some of us are practically empty nesters.
Fair.
And some of us are neck deep in teenage angst. So,
Yes.
yes. So, we're across the spectrum here. So, Luke, you
So
and
Nathan.
you and I have, we've known each other for a while, and you have actually been a part of some of the episodes over at the Big
I
Fat Geek
have.
podcast, but
I
we've
have.
talked about wanting to do something a little more regular, and you have some very specific passions that
I do.
I've appreciated because, and you're a lot better at this than I am, but you have a very specific era that you are completely bought into.
Way to
and
set
love.
me up, man. You
I'm
just set
setting
me
you
up.
up.
The 1980s, folks. I am all about anything 80s.
You're an
So,
aficionado.
I'm an aficionado of the 80s. So,
so
as,
happy
as you're
now.
an aficionado of video games, my knowledge of video games is still in television. So, in television, Atari
Did you have
2600.
Coleco?
I did not have a Coleco.
That was what my friends had, and I always wanted that one.
I did not have a
Coleco?
Coleco. And I
Yeah.
wanted to ask PJ, did you have any of those when you were a kid?
I
Atari 2600?
my across the street neighbors had an Atari 2600, and then my first we had a Trash 80.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
sure.
nice. Okay, yeah.
Which was sort of my introduction into
Computing.
programming and games,
Yeah.
and then I had a paper route that I saved up money to buy my Nintendo, my NES.
Okay, so my NES, my first job was working in a nursing home. I saved up to get mine. I bought it on my own. It was kind of cool.
My dad bought my Intellivision.
Well, that's
so-
fine. My dad bought our first video game system, which was a Commodore VIC 20.
Ooh, I remember
Yeah.
those. Those are
So,
sweet.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet. And we played a lot of Defender and a lot of Omega Race. Those were the two games we played.
Nice. So my big thing is anything 80s. So it goes for comedies to dramas to sci-fi. Obviously, big into sci-fi, big into Star Wars, big into Star Trek, just like a lot of other and Geekosphere folks
Yes.
out there. But I again, the genre is anything from Rubik's cubes to silver spoons. I'm all about about the 80s.
Well, you also have in the past, I know that you've kind of taken a little bit of a hiatus with it, but you've also been involved in some other areas of geek culture, and that is
Yeah, working with Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So I do work with Dallas Fan Expo. I took the last show off, but I'll actually be working at the next show.
Are you working the next one?
So I am working
Awesome.
at the next show. I'm the show office manager. So stop on by if you're going to Dallas Fan Days in Irving. in October 18th.
Yeah, and we
19th
just
and
found out
20th.
that Edward James Olmos is going to be at this
Yes.
one, along with Mary McDonald.
Mary McDonald. That's
So,
right.
Little Battlestar Galactica thing going.
I'm actually a little more geeked about Matt Modine personally.
Actually, yes,
So,
because Private
Dr. Brent.
Joker, we get to see him there. What they need? Are they having a Full Metal Jacket reunion?
I certainly hope
I
so.
think it's Adam
It's
Baldwin's
Adam
coming, so
Baldwin's
they're
coming.
going to do a Full Metal Jacket
That's
reunion.
Yeah,
so.
Adam Baldwin's coming too.
And Adam Baldwin, obviously people feel differently about his politics and stuff, but he's always a really good guest.
Oh, he's a great guest.
He's a great guest, super friendly guy. So.
Super friendly guy, and if you happen to be at Champs Americana having dinner, he'll probably be there during the show.
That's
So,
awesome. So
I just started a whole bunch of stalkers. Sorry
nice.
about
So people are going to stalk Adam
People are
Baldwin.
gonna that. But yeah, I've been doing the Comic-Con thing for, going on 6 years, 7 years, working for the show, having a lot of fun, met a lot of great people.
You've actually gotten me to work there, volunteer
yes,
once.
I got
and
you to work there. You worked. I forget who you were working.
I worked a couple of different lines. I worked Haley Atwell's line.
Haley Atwell.
That was the one I specifically asked for you to put me on. So I got to stand next to Agent Carter for 2 hours and tell people not to take pictures of her. And then
get too close,
And
or-
then I think you ruined it. I think it got ruined for me because I had to work the Frank Miller line.
Yeah, the Frank Miller line pretty much busted you.
Which
at that
was an
point.
absolute disaster. And I had people screaming at me, and I was accused by Frank Miller's agent of spreading lies to the attendees, which I never said any of those things, but I got chewed out by Frank Miller's agent.
And then Nathan never came back.
And then I never came back.
And then I was asked to never return to the Magic
Well,
Kingdom.
No.
I was given I was given several pats on the back for that situation because
yeah.
it was a hard one.
We've had a
Sounds
lot of
awful.
bad situations.
Yes, one day we'll have to talk about Photogeddon.
Photogeddon. Yeah. Photo op Geddon
Yes.
2016.
Whatever they call.
Yeah, I haven't heard this story yet.
Oh, this
so
is
I'm
a great
looking forward
story.
to it.
Let me just say this. All I have to tell you about the story is there was a point where Luke was texting me going, they just told us all to not leave the building until everybody's gone.
good
all the
Lord.
attendees are gone.
If they see an orange shirt or a red shirt staff member, you're going to get killed.
That's a
so-
good. We need to have a con story
Yes, we
episode
do.
and just talk about funny things that have happened at cons.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah,
Let's
we
go.
need to do that. So, well, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Well, and I know one of the points of contention with me that Nathan might bring up is the fact that as much as I want to be into the Marvel universe, that's actually one area of geekdom that I'm not actually very involved in. So I know that that's always been an area of contention for you.
It's
so.
not. It's not contention. It's not contention. I totally get it because I'm not a Star Trek guy.
He said with a Marvel shirt on.
I said with my Marvel. Shirt.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not a Star Trek guy.
I'm not a Star Trek guy, and I mean I love Wrath of Khan. I love some of the movies, but we even sat down with the Big Fat Geek guys and watched the first episode of Discovery.
Discovery.
And
Yep.
that was the last time I watched any Star Trek, and I was like, it's not my thing. But we're all going to find that there's things, and that's kind of the nice thing about this whole and getting together and sitting down is everybody kind of brings something to the table.
Bring something to the table.
Like, I'm the horror movie guy.
Right.
Like that's my, I really enjoy that. I'm a big sci-fi guy, big comic book, board games, really love
Yep.
and like heavily involved in that. But with the rest of my friends, it's like, I like, there's good scary movies I really like. Now I have limitations. I hate slasher movies. I hate anything that can be believable, but like the old classic, monster movies and things
Sure.
like that, I totally dig them. And, if they're creative, and Luke will also attest to this, that I'm absolutely obsessed with Alien.
Yes.
Like it's going to get mentioned at least once or twice an episode. Alien and Aliens are my two top
I will
favorite
say,
movies.
I will say that as much as I am an 80s aficionado, when it comes to Alien, I know enough to be dangerous, but this gentleman over here across from me is the ultimate Alien encyclopedia.
I am a little bit obsessed. And there is a new documentary coming out in theaters that is supposed to be the deepest dive ever into the background on the making of Alien ever.
That'd be cool.
And
I'd love to see
apparently it goes into like all the literary inspirations that Dan O'Bannon took when he wrote Alien. And it goes from there. And so I'm kind of interested in seeing that because that just seems really would be a fascinating thing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
that. And I just turned the sound down on my
Good. Why don't we do that over again? No, it's okay. Hey, you know what? Sometimes we're just doing this on the cheap, right?
Hey, man, what can I say?
You're getting emails in the middle.
Forgot to turn the volume down on my
That's
computer.
that's an amateur mistake, but we're amateur guys. So
Sounds about right.
It sounds about right. So
And that, folks, was the very first episode of the Geekosphere. Once again, appreciate you listening, and we will hopefully have a lot more episodes coming up soon. And, you guys are great, and we look forward to sharing more with you.
Nice to be in orbit.
Roger, 0G, and I feel fine. Lift off and the clock has started.